the big news in the NFL continues to be the destination of Deshaun Watson. And at one point yesterday, Jay Glazer suggested that Watson could be making his decision by the end of the day. Now, I got a call from someone around dinner time last night explaining to me that Watson is very, very torn, that he was impressed significantly with the 4 presentations that were made to him by, personally, in the room, right there to talk to him, ownership, GM, and coach of the Saints, Panthers, Browns, Falcons. 3 of them happened in Houston. He met with the Falcons in Atlanta because he's from Atlanta. He went back home and met with Arthur Blank and Terry Fontenot, the GM, and Arthur Smith, the head coach. But he was happy, satisfied, impressed with all 4 of them, and he's having a hell of a time making a decision. Now, he could roll out of bed this morning with his mind made up. It could still take some more time. We don't know what he's going to do. He doesn't know what he's going to do. And one of the things that I think is causing him dismay is he has to tell 3 of the teams no. He doesn't want to have to tell any of them no. He'd like to play for all of them if he could. So it's gone well for the 4 teams that made their pitches. The problem is it's gone too well because he doesn't have a team that he wants to go play for. And that all presupposes, and it is indeed true, that these teams have been pre-qualified to trade for Deshaun Watson, that the deals are there.
Yes.
The trades will happen. Wherever it is, one trade. But the various trade opportunities are there. All Watson has to do is make his decision, waive his no-trade clause. That's the team he's going to go to. And it could happen while we're on the air, or it could happen this weekend. It's going to happen in the next few days. He knows he has to make a decision. He's just having a hard time doing it, Chris, because he was very impressed by all 4 of the presentations.
Yeah, I get it. It's a big decision, certainly. I mean, that's the first thing. I think we got the 4 teams. I don't think there's going to be anybody else, injected into this conversation because of like what you said. We're going to know about it if that time comes, because you gotta meet the threshold of whatever the trade demand is. So I understand that. I again look at it at a base level, just from a football standpoint. To me, and the team that still pops out to me is the Cleveland Browns. That's the one I look at and go, I have less ifs or oohs or, I'm not sure about this or that with the Cleveland Browns than any of the other organizations. And I don't mean that to be like disrespectful. New Orleans, it's just a new coaching staff. We know it's, a team a little bit in flux. Atlanta, the salary cap situation. Calvin Ridley's not there. There's, it's a second-year coach. Again, a team that's in flux as well, rebuilding a defense. Carolina, the Matt Rule situation, what we talked about. So there's issues with all of them. The one I still find intriguing, Mike, is, I think Cleveland makes a sense from the football standpoint. I've been led to believe, people close to the situation, one of the problems here is his heart is in Atlanta. The other 3 teams, I was told, pursued Deshaun Watson. I was told by somebody close to the situation that Deshaun Watson pursued Atlanta. That's where it kind of came out of nowhere. And it made, of course, the other 2 NFC South teams like, what? Oh, my gosh, Atlanta's in this? How? What? So that's where I think there could be some, indecisiveness here, too. And it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out over the next day or 2 here.
And the Falcons' interest is still confusing to me.
Right.
I mean, that helps put it in context.
Yeah.
You've got Matt Ryan.
Right.
You've got a huge cap hit if you trade Matt Ryan. Then you've got to work in Deshaun Watson's contract. And if you don't get Deshaun Watson, what do you do with Matt Ryan? We're going to talk more about Baker Mayfield and the obvious conclusions the Browns are reaching about him as manifested by the interest in Deshaun Watson. What happens with Matt Ryan if they don't get Deshaun Watson? And it very well could be that Ryan becomes the next domino to go somewhere else, maybe to go to Indianapolis, maybe to go to Cleveland if Baker Mayfield, when Baker Mayfield goes elsewhere. But for Deshaun Watson, he's in that mode of figuring out what he's going to do, and he could pick any of the 4 teams. And that's the problem with having options, with having choices. You got to pick one at some point. And sometimes it's better to have fewer to choose from. And this is exactly where Aaron Rodgers was We just didn't have it spelled out as plainly.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers was picking from the teams that knew they could get him from the Packers, even though they never directly engaged the Packers. It was all done through Dave Dunn, the agent for Aaron Rodgers, but it was the same thing. The only difference is Rodgers had the Packers, his current team, as one of the choices. Deshaun Watson clearly does not. But we're just at the point where he's sitting at the table, just like Rodgers, sitting at the table with a menu. He's got 4 options, and he's got to pick one at some point. And he knows it. He knows it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What's the one that makes sense to you? Just from football, we talk about ball, and we know the coaching situations, the owners. Like I said Cleveland is the one football-wise that makes sense to me. What about you? Anything else, or you agree, or anybody else jump out?
My niece, the Browns fan, who does not follow the sport as closely as we do,
right?
Who is not zealous over the top. I'll get questions from her all the time, and it gives me a great understanding of how much the middle of the road, loves the team, goes to some games,
watches
but
the
doesn't
games.
live it.
Yeah,
right.
Right.
There's still a lot of things she doesn't understand because there's only so much time you can give a crap about something like this before it takes over your life.
Right.
She's not real thrilled about the idea of Deshaun Watson to the Browns. She's not real thrilled about it.
Yeah.
Because of the other stuff. And here's this is part of the reality.
Yeah.
How welcome are you going to feel in this new city? Carolina, and I'm not making judgments here. I'm just trying to understand where it's going to be an easier transition for him, especially with these 22 civil actions still looming. If you win, I think it all gets forgotten or minimized or time passes. I think back to how badly Steelers fans wanted to run Ben Roethlisberger out of town 12 years ago. And once they made it to the Super Bowl that year, it was all forgotten. And, 10 years later, it was like it never happened.
Yeah.
The things that got him suspended for 6 games reduced to 4. I think that Carolina would be the one place where it would be the hardest for him to get past these off-field issues. Cleveland, it may not be easy, although they're so desperate for a winner there. I think for the most part they would forgive and forget quickly and not even look at it. I think New Orleans would be the place where I just think of the 4 choices, all the planets line up for New Orleans. You got continuity in the coaching staff.
Yeah.
You've got a great team that still was a high-end contender without Drew Brees last year, and Jameis Winston got injured halfway through the season, and the quarterback situation was kind of a mess. The only difference is Sean Payton isn't there. But if Sean Payton was there, Chris, they would not be pursuing Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, you said that.
It would be more attractive to Watson if Payton was there, but if Payton was there, they wouldn't be attracted to Watson. But you've still got Pete Carmichael, who's been there forever. You've got Dennis Allen, who's done a great job with the defense. You've got Alvin Kamara. You've got Michael Thomas, presumably being healthy this year. I just that Peyton offense to twist it, to morph it into something that would absorb a guy like Deshaun Watson, who's got a very different skill set than Drew Brees did. That's the challenge for the coaching staff. But all things considered, stability of coaching staff, quality of team around him, reception in the city, I think the Saints make the most sense.
You think that's the most stable coaching staff? I was going to ask you that next. I want to ask you 2 things. I want to ask you, one, what because I mean, the continuity's real. It's a new as far as new head coach. It's unproven, but you're right. I mean, they're definitely on stable ground here for a while. It seems like Cleveland's on stable ground, right? Atlanta, they're on stable ground. I mean, Carolina's the one where it's shaky coach, and now and we think it might be, on the hot seat a little bit.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.